Oh man, I've been looking for some updates on Hogwarts Legacy for the longest time, and let me tell you, I'm so excited about this. And I'll be posting this video on replays, which is where I'll definitely be covering the game when it comes out as well. It's like for those of us who have grown along with Harry Potter series who were around that age and who turned around like 17 or 18 when the last movie came out. This is such a great time to be alive and to be an adult and have our own incomes and wallets and whatnot so that we can purchase all these games. But on a serious note though, I'm so excited and I just love how these things that came from someone's just imagination have become such a classic, such a cult thing that I'm pretty sure that every single spell that's mentioned in this video is something that we all know about. This is like I think 10 spells that we're gonna be able to use in the game. Now I'm not sure if this analysis came from like I don't know, like a confirmation in an interview or analysis of the gameplay and stuff that we've seen. So I don't know what the source is, but I'm excited for it. Let's watch it.
There's over 80 spells that we currently know of in the Wizarding world, but which ones are we going to be able to use in Hogwarts Legacy? Well, I've got 10 here for you to break down, including some dark magic spells, which we will be able to use in game.
That is so exciting to me. Like, I think pretty much all of the previously released Harry Potter games, they didn't, not to my knowledge, allow you to like turn bad. And I think that's just been a real fantasy for so many Harry Potter fans who are not just Harry Potter fans, but Harry Potter universe fans who wanted to experience the story from the other side as well. Especially like after the series ended with like stories of Malfoy and Snape being so intriguing. And I'm just really excited for it, and I hope that it's gonna add replayability to the game. That we're gonna be able to I don't know choose that path and then choose another one in our second like playthrough or whatever. I'm not sure how it's gonna work, but I'm seeing myself just investing a ton of hours into it.
And have officially been confirmed by Warner Bros. But let's first start with Protivicus Totalis. It's a body freezing curse that temporarily.
Okay, I kind of like how when you target someone, you can see like a slight outline like around their character. At first, I thought that was super weird, but then I was like, hey, this makes sense actually.
Paralyzes your
That's really
opponent. It
good.
causes the victim's arms and legs to snap together so they're unable to move, but they still have the ability to hear, see, feel, and think. And we do see this used throughout the Harry Potter films and wider Wizarding World series, but one of the first times we actually see it in action is when Hermione casts it against Neville in the
That was so good. That was such an epic moment.
Philosopher's Stone, who actually tried to stop the trio from sneaking out the common room and then subsequently losing Gryffindor more house points, which is pretty savage. But Chandler Wood, community manager of Hogwarts Legacy, also mentioned that the Protivicus Totalis spell can be a great way to finish off enemies in stealth when
Oh, so it actually also does damage if you are in stealth or just like attacking from behind or whatever. That's cool.
we can actually cast the disillusionment charm upon ourselves. And I think this
Cool.
is really encouraging, actually, as it looks like spells
Wow.
don't just have one purpose. And when it's used for that one
So you can combine like different spells to give yourself a buff of some sort with one spell, and then your other spells will have a different effect. That is so awesome.
purpose, its utility ends. So actually having the ability to creatively thread different spells together to get the desired outcome seems to offer us some
Cool.
creative freedom here in terms of gameplay choices, which
Why is there zombies? What is this? What is this gameplay? What?
I think is really great to hear. But another great thing to hear, and that is the Stupefy spell, which is arguably our bread and butter offensive spell known for its stunning capabilities. We can hear it yelled out numerous times throughout the recent State of
Right.
Play trailer, and when hit with this red spell, the victim is rendered unconscious, but more importantly, it doesn't cause them any lasting damage unless they take a heavy fall, of course. Now, with
That is so cool to me that they added these things in mind. Like with the last spell with Pacificus Totalis, like if you do this, they will take damage. Now here's like if they fall, they take damage. So you can kind of plan that, and hopefully you can position your opponents in a way that you can actually plan their fall.
World universe using multiple stunning spells simultaneously amplifies its effects on a target, and because of that, it is a very useful spell when multiple wizards are fighting beasts or creatures with significant spell resistance, such as dragons or trolls, who will
Right.
both be appearing in Hogwarts Legacy, by the way. And Chandler also went on to say, off the back of that, that the team have been working very hard to make sure combat in Hogwarts Legacy has a depth and challenge for players who actually want it. So I've got a feeling we're not just going to be able to steamroll content by spamming our Stupefy spell on everything we see.
That is so good. I'm so happy and excited to hear that, and I'm glad that they're actually taking their sweet time with developing all this, because that is what we want. We don't want another Harry Potter game that looks like a shooter, or that is just easy and straightforward. We want to be thinking, we want to be engaging, and we want the gameplay to just last a little longer.
We're going to have to be a little bit more tactical than that, which sounds very encouraging in my opinion. But on the other side of the wand, though, we do have our shield charm, better known as Protego, which is one of the best ways to deflect incoming spells
That's
like
amazing.
Stupefy, as well as other hexes and jinxes. It is a great all-round defensive spell, which we can see cast several times in the recent PlayStation preview, as well as official game art released by Avalanche on
Wow.
their website. That said, though, it can't deflect every offensive spell. Unforgivable curses, such as Avada Kedavra, do blast through it, and I'm going to talk about that spell shortly because it is also coming to Hogwarts Legacy. But next up, let's talk about Lumos. It's a wand lightning charm that was invented by a British witch called Lavina Monk Stanley in 1772.
That's something that I've always been curious about, to be honest. Like how does the fantasy of inventing spell work? Like, can you be like a spell scientist who just like tries out different spells? Is that how Luna Lovegood's mom died? Because she did say that her mom was a brilliant witch, but she I guess blew herself up or whatever when one of her spells went horribly wrong. So you have like these random people who experiment and sometimes just make something good.
Who used the spell to actually look for a quill which had fallen into a dusty corner of her house. The charm itself conjures a light at the end of your wand and grants you visibility in dark or dimly
Cool.
lit areas. It
Wow, that
also
looks
has
so good.
multiple variations, such as Lumos Salem, which builds on the Lumos charm itself and produces a quick
Mhm.
blinding flash of sunlight, which Hermione used to defeat Devil's Snare in the Philosopher's Stone.
Knowing this, like how advanced were her skills in first year? Like she had the basic spell and then she was like doing advanced magic on top of that. That's something to think about.
Additionally, we have Lumos Maxima and Lumos Duo, which offers other light-based charms effects,
Right.
also seen visually in the films, but hasn't yet been mentioned or showed in the gameplay so far. But the thing is with this Lumos charm, it's not just a mobile torch or flashlight at the end of your wand, it's useful for repelling ghosts and spectral foes in the
Hmm.
wizarding world, and interestingly reveals hidden things and illusions for what they really are. And this may come in useful, as Avalanche have stated multiple times that there's many secrets for us to discover hidden away in the game, so some extra utility with the wand lightning spell
That's
perhaps.
terrific.
And incidentally, Avalanche have also gone on to state that we will be attending charms and defense against the dark arts classes while at Hogwarts, so even though it's not officially confirmed as of yet, I think we can confidently deduce that we will be learning a few spells and charms like Lumos from the classroom minigames, just as we've done in previous Harry Potter games over the last decade. And speaking of class minigames, we can actually see one of them in action here, the Accio Axi.
Yeah, like the game, if it didn't have Accio, I don't think it would have been complete. This is just one of those extensions of your own movements. And I think instead of just pulling something, like why would you be pulling anything with your arms in a Harry Potter game? Like I think they absolutely have to have it.
Or the Accio spell, depending upon which audiobook you listen to and where you are in the world. It is a summoning charm that can be cast on objects, which brings the item in question to the feet of the caster. And best of all, the item or living thing doesn't need to be visible
This actually looks like a cool mini game.
for it to work. It can be cast at great distances if the witch or wizard has a clear image of the item or living thing in their mind, but
Cool.
the proficiency of the same witch or wizard also plays
So you can like Accio someone to yourself and then set him on fire. Oh wow.
the role in the spell's success. A good example of this is when Harry practices profusely with Hermione in the run-up to the Triwizard Tournament and ends up successfully summoning his Firebolt broomstick from the Gryffindor dormitory a significant distance away. However, it can't be used on buildings, and it's contested if it can or can't even be directly used on
Mhm.
living things, as J.K. Rowling has said that it only works on inanimate objects.
But the question is, how much of an involvement is J.K. Rowling really going to have in this game? From what I've heard and seen, they said that they've distanced themselves from her.
In Fantastic Beasts, Newt uses the charm non-verbally to summon Jacob, as well as a Niffler. Harry also uses it to summon Neville's toad Trevor to stop it jumping out the window in the Order of the Phoenix book. But whatever your stance is on this one, we're going to be using it in-game to summon people or their clothes whilst in combat. Chandler went on to say in a PlayStation blog post that we'll be able to use the Accio charm to pull an enemy close to us before
Hmm.
blasting them with an Incendio spell, which we can directly see in action
That's
here. And if
insane.
you've played any RPG open world games before, you'll also know that this type of gameplay mechanic will be the perfect spell for us to use for solving puzzles by actually pulling things towards us in game to actually then progress the mini environmental puzzle or mini game
That's
itself. So
terrific.
what I would say is do expect a lot of utility with this spell, especially in combat and of course with those environmental puzzles.
So you can also pull yourself towards an object. Cool.
Now here's a spell I wish I could actually cast in real life, and that's the Mending Charm or Repairing Charm called Reparo or Reparo, again depending upon your own pronunciation and audiobook of choice there. It was invented in 1754 by Arabella Nutley, who used it for the first time to repair the Colosseum after it was accidentally destroyed. That said though, it may not be the Colosseum, but we can visually see Professor Fig repairing
Wow.
a coastal bridge or pathway in the reveal, so we're able
The animations for it are so cool.
across with him. We also pick up a few more clips of this spell in use throughout all of the footage that we've seen so far, and I've got a feeling this will be an instrumental mechanic we'll need to learn before we're
Nice.
actually able to explore the full scope of the game's hidden secrets and locations. Interestingly, in the Half-Blood Prince game on the PS3, when you actually learnt this spell, you had to rotate the analog stick in a counterclockwise rotation while aiming at the object that you wanted to repair. And I do wonder if these style mechanics will be applicable in this game, or if it's just going to be a quick button press or keyboard click prompted on screen as soon as we approach
That was a good mechanic, though. I kind of liked it.
locations which clearly need to be repaired. We have recently just got a bit of a reveal for the next gen controllers regarding spells as a whole. I think it looks really encouraging and exciting, but we're just going to have to wait and see how those combos on the controller will
Hmm.
actually work with specific spells.
I
And
see.
before we do move on to the dark spells, if you have found this video informative so far, please do leave a quick like on the video down below. It genuinely really helps me out, so thank you very much. Now for this
Oh, I'm excited for this.
troll encounter, it's going to be good to get your opinion on this one because it looks like Arresto Momentum to me, which is a charm that slows or immediately stops the velocity of objects, living beings, and people. In fact, it was discovered by Daisy Pennifold in
Like, I don't know why this one should be a dark spell. That's just always been a little confusing to me.
1711, who used it to slow down quaffles in Quidditch matches
Oh,
so chasers
cheating.
wouldn't have to constantly dive down to the ground and then pick them up again after they were dropped in training or during a game. We've also seen the spell used multiple times throughout the series, but visually in the films, where Dumbledore uses this spell to slow down Harry after he fell off his broom due to the Dementors in The Prisoner of Azkaban, and with Rudolph Spielman in The Crimes of Grindelwald film, where he was able to cast the
Hmm.
slowing charm on himself after being thrown from Grindelwald's carriage, saving himself from a very watery impact. Now, Avalanche have officially stated that we're going to be able to upgrade our spells to increase their power.
Oh, that is so good. Oh god, the talent, like the system. I want to say tree, but it's not a tree. It just looks amazing.
And efficiency, and I think this would be a great example of where upgrading a spell would be considerably noticeable, increasing the slowing effect duration for longer in combat, allowing us more time to think of our next spell and not be charged down by a mountain troll after a couple seconds. Now, trolls aside, let's talk about some more iconic Harry Potter spells that we'll be able to conjure in the game. The first being Expelliarmus. It's a disarming spell that allows the witch or wizard to remove the wand or object from their opponent's hand. Harry very famously using this spell multiple times in his duels with Voldemort, which resulted in Priore Incantatem, which we can also see visually occurring in this game. And if you didn't know what that is, it is a very rare
That's weird that that happens against another. Like, this is, I don't know if that's a that's an NPC probably. I guess we're gonna get an explanation for that, but still.
Rare magical manifestation that occurs between two wands which contain the same magical core. Now, if the spells fired from each of those two wands then went on to collide, one of the wands regurgitates the last spells it's just conjured, resulting in this impressive beam connection between the witches or wizards. Now, priori incantatem aside, our character throughout the trailer can be
Wow.
seen and heard to be casting Expelliarmus several times, so I've got another feeling this will be a frequently used spell that we're going to be utilising quite a lot, as we will be dueling multiple enemies at once, so disarming a couple NPCs quickly to get a firm hand on the battle will buy us a little
It's interesting how we don't see these games as shooters, but they are essentially shooters.
bit of time to then shoot off our next spell. But let's remain on iconic spells though, because an honourable mention here is the Wingardium Leviosa that will also be making an appearance here in the game. We can see it briefly being used as a way to levitate the two suits of armour to temporarily take them out of the fight, and that kind of makes sense as
Cool.
it is a levitation charm which can make objects float in midair, but it doesn't work on humans, only the clothes that they wear for a certain amount of time. And
I
I'd be interested to
see.
see what happens when we use a spell which can't be used on witches or wizards in game. I would really love to see some sort of failing spell animation of sorts. I think it would be a great detail
Yeah.
and just contribute really nicely to the immersion of the game. Now, another popular curse used by duelists was the Confringo spell, otherwise known as the blasting spell, which caused targets to explode. We see it used several times in the gameplay, where we can also hear it vocally shouted out by the character mid-duel, and historically it was invented in 1430 when Alberta Toothill used the curse for the first time in the All
Oh, I love how they're using. I think this is the card from the first game, maybe.
England wizarding dueling competition to defeat Samson Wilburn, who was the favourite at the time, and her victory went on to catch everybody by surprise because of this spell. Hermione actually used this curse against Nagini in the Deathly Hallows, which ended up rebounding and subsequently breaking Harry's wand, so it really is quite destructive and can cause significant harm to everything and anyone in the vicinity. I also don't know about you, but the idea of being able to freely cast Confringo in an open world setting does sound pretty fantastic, and I hope this is the case and it's not just restrictive to certain objects close by when we're dueling. I do have my
Yeah.
fingers crossed though, because Avalanche have continually stated that the use of combination of spells during combat provides us with that freedom to experiment, and I
That is so cool how they didn't make the dueling and the combat rigid. That is amazing.
hope that's the case for all spells and not just a versatile few. Now, speaking of versatile spells, there's a couple here I want to bring your attention to that we will of course be able to use in game, but the intriguing
Like Incendio, we've seen cast a lot.
thing here being that they have the potential to be used in a very dark or fatal way. First on our list is the Incendio spell, which is a charm that conjures jets of flames used to set things alight, which we can clearly see here. It can also be used on anything at all, and it's not just restricted to specific items or things, so setting people on fire is definitely on the cards here. And secondly, we can cast the Defindo spell, which is a
I wonder if that makes you bad. Like if these are the spells that would be considered dark if you use them. If you choose like to be a dark wizard or whatever. If that's when you have access to these.
severing charm that is used to precisely and accurately cut something specified by the witch or wizard, but if used inappropriately, it could cause injury or even death. And thirdly, we'll be able to use the Descendo spell, which is an incantation that makes objects fall or move downwards. A good example of this is when Harry uses this spell during his escape from the Room of Requirement in
That's
the
so cool.
Deathly Hallows. Now, with all of these three,
Such an iconic scene.
I can see a lot of environmental utility with each one, but I can also see them playing a prominent role in a combative and fatal way, depending upon your own playstyle. So dark magic, it has been confirmed by Avalanche that we will be able
Oh, okay. So these weren't like dark spells. Basically, dark magic is like the last section, but all of these are like considered normal. Okay, I see.
to cast unforgivable curses, but it hasn't been specified if we're able to cast all three, those being the Imperius, Cruciatus, and Killing Curse. And if so, how are we going to be able, or whom are we going to be able to learn this from to then cast them in game? However, that said, we
That's the big question, isn't it? Like, I wonder if we actually have like a class, like the way they, kind of learn it in their fourth year, or is it gonna be like a secret thing that we embark on out of school.
We can definitely cast one of them, that being the Avada Kedavra killing curse, and I find this scene quite bizarre actually, as we're casting this unforgivable curse whilst wearing Hogwarts robes, which in itself is significant because we're
Crazy.
still in school for one, but secondly, we actually start Hogwarts in our 5th year in this game with no previous education up until this point, and then we suddenly start beaming off killing curses during our technically first year at Hogwarts. So some mental gymnastics needed here, and this has me intrigued for sure. With that said though, in the trailer we are presented with a talent and ability system, which is where we're going to be able to upgrade our spell
Cool.
capabilities, and this is where I want to bring your attention to these 2 talent tree panels which aren't yet named. The blue panel looks like an ancient magic talent tree to me, ancient magic being at the core of the story in Hogwarts Legacy, and something which we as a student are able to wield and perform not yet confirmed spells with it. And secondly, the red panel, it certainly looks like a dark wizard orientated panel to me, so perhaps we're able to proactively select, choose and level up dark magic if that's our gameplay preference. And I do think this is where the blue lightning spell comes into place here, as well as the somewhat torturous slamming spells we can see here being used on a goblin. And I think it would have been really easy for Avalanche and Warner Bros to not include these controversial spells and keep it all somewhat PG, but I do think it's a great thing.
No, this is what we want. This is what we haven't had in the other games, and this is definitely a good choice. It's intriguing, and at this point, we know that there's no such thing as like good and bad. And why would they keep it like PG when like all of us who are who have been fans of Harry Potter for a decade now or more or whatever, um we are adults who are aware that there's both good and evil, and we want to play this kind of game.
Thing that they have. It gives the game depth and gets me thinking that we may have the option to head down that dark magic path if we so choose, providing us with a more moral compass choice system in terms of gameplay. That said though, if we can obliterate enemies with lightning, torture goblins by repeatedly slamming them into the
Wow.
ground, and even kill people, what else can we do? Well, Chandler has stated that we are going to be picking up more Hogwarts info this summer, so if you haven't already done so, do subscribe to keep up to date with Hogwarts Legacy, as I'll be covering the game in its entirety, and I've also whipped up more Hogwarts Legacy videos on the channel that you may be interested in, such as Easter eggs and hidden secrets that you may have missed during the gameplay reveal so far. We've also got confirmed fantastical creatures and beasts coming to the game, and they should be popping up on your screen just in a second, so check them out. I also want to say a big thanks to Nika and Nico who helped make this video with me, and all the reloaders who support the channel with your hard-earned cash. You really are the best. I am very grateful, so thank you very much. Anyway, catch you in the next Hogwarts video in just a second. Butterbeer is on me. There's over 8
That was really good. It's just getting me really excited. And instead of just like watching through these videos as I missed the state of play gameplay thing, I will be watching them with you guys and just kind of commenting on them. So you can look forward to that. It's a good channel. Definitely subscribe to it. And I think I'll be reacting to quite a few videos from this channel as well. So yeah, make sure to subscribe there. And if you're new to my channel, and if you would like to see my own coverage of Hogwarts Legacy, make sure to subscribe there as well. That's it for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.